everybody, welcome. We are thrilled to be here with Radio Matt, and we are lukewarm to be here with Fox as usual. Happy to see you folks.
Till somebody better comes along.
Until somebody better comes along. We got Mo's Jiff here, and we got some Bubba, we got some Mosaic. Welcome everybody in the chat. Hey, we're going to be doing our pre-show here. First of all, I want to apologize for the layout here. I couldn't get the cameras in the right place and whatnot, and so you can kind of see like the outline of Discord on the in the chat here. So I'm or not in the chat, in the screen here. So I apologize for that. But with all that being said, hey, how you guys doing? How is everything?
Pretty good.
Agreed. Thumbs up.
I've heard Mosaic fan arc here. First of all, Mosaic, what are you working on? You said you're working on Mosaic. Let us know what you're working on. But second of all, he's commenting on your background there, Matt. You've got, wait, I'm going to say, hang on, let me count one, at least 10 Funko Pops back there.
Definitely at least 10.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the 300 range, but I think Mosaic might be commenting on this right here.
Oh, you do have the, it's a White Lantern, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mosaic back there. That's awesome. Spider-Man and Wonder Woman mini 8x8s. Streaming is a young man game, Steve, except for he spelled it. So it said streaming is a UG man's game, and I like that better. Streaming is a UG man's game. You a G man, yo. So, okay, here's the question. Here's our pre-stream chat here, and that is, what are you playing? What are your plans for playing in kind of the post-Christmas lull? Every time after Christmas, there's just not a lot of game releases. Everybody just got all their great, games for Christmas, whatnot. So, what are you playing in this time, waiting until the next release? The OG man. That's right. I'm the OG man.
So I got Super Mario Wonder before the holiday season came out, and initially beat it fairly quickly, but I am now to the point where I need to grind to 100% complete it so I can get to the final level that you unlock when you get all the ribbons. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing here for the next foreseeable future.
I'm told that is insane, like actually grinding to get the 100%, because there are secret blocks that only individual characters can see, and so you have to play each level as each individual character just in case, question mark.
Yeah. But it's a really good game. I'm a huge Mario fanboy, so I love a brand new Mario release, but this is top tier side scrolling.
Well, I'm going to say on that note, first of all, I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3. I got it for my birthday. I'm way late to the game here, but it's awesome. It's great. Fox and I have been chatting, though. We will say that this is an us thing where we are the type of people that we get nervous if we have missed something or if we have like made a wrong decision or whatever. So sometimes there's like a paralyzing moment of like, oh, I can tell that this is a big decision. What if I make the wrong one? What do I do?
Too much freedom.
Too much freedom. I will admit that I have saved, made a choice, did not enjoy the outcome, reloaded, made a different choice, did not enjoy the outcome, reloaded, made a third choice, like that one, went with that one.
Save scumming is perfectly fine. Games can stop you from save scumming if they really want you to. Dark Souls does it. So if they wanted it to not be a thing you can do, then they would leave it out. But just saying. I have actually been. I've had my wife and son have both been in Indiana for the last 5 days. So I've had just 5-6 days on my own here, and I have crammed most of a replay of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it has been. I'll just say this: I'm glad I did it, because it has reminded me and convinced me that now I'll just wait on Rebirth. I have a lot of problems with it. And it's honestly like I got so frustrated with it last night that I'm like, I'm just gonna cool off on video games for a little while.
Look, man, our mistakes for good sometimes if we let
it. I want to be playing Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. That it's incredible. The demo was incredible. I want to play that, but I'm just gonna take a break for a little bit.
Okay. Baldur's Gate 3. I love it. It's great. But I'm streaming for Save Point Super Mario RPG right now.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
And it's incredible. I mean, we all know that. It's a spectacular game. It always has been. I played it a ton when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
The combat feels so good. It's so satisfying that I will take the Switch in tablet mode while we're watching TV at night or whatever else, and I'll just like grind levels for funsies. But because of this, I am legitimately like twice the level that I should be where I'm at. And I am defeating bosses without taking damage.
The only way to play an RPG. The only way.
It's ridiculous where I'll have my 3 characters go and then we'll have one and that's it. And the boss never gets a turn. And like, it got to the point today, it was so bad today that I was like, maybe I'll take a break on grinding levels. It's getting a little easy and ridiculous here. So I don't use items. Anytime a character's damaged, it's never enough to worry. And by the time I might have to worry, they've leveled up again. And so they refill on their health anyway.
That's the only way to play a JRPG.
Chat, how about you guys? What are you guys playing? What have you been up to? What are you guys doing? Now, Fox, did you play Final Fantasy remake, Matt?
No,
You did not?
I've never gotten into the Final Fantasy games.
Did you play the original? So no, because you never have.
Yeah, not for any particular reason. It never grabbed.
Fair enough.
I am watching my favorite YouTuber, which, I mean, we're talking about YouTubers later, but I'm watching my favorite YouTuber play the original right now in preparation for Rebirth coming out. And what I have, like, Fox struggles with the ridiculousness of it. Is that fair to say, Fox?
There's a lot I could say. I'm okay with ridiculous goofiness. I don't like how it's presented in the remake version.
He feels it's out of character. Again, I don't want to speak for you. I'm not saying you're wrong. Obviously,
It's a whole thing.
opinion, but
It's fine. It's fine.
But I'm watching the original, and I can say, maybe it's just that I don't remember it. Maybe but it's toned down in the remake. Like, it's even more goofy and wild in the original. There was just a moment where the dog, Red 13, was walking around in a person suit, passing as a soldier, like Scooby-Doo style. Like, it was.
Well, if it's Red 13, I would imagine that's not in the remake section. That's going to be in Rebirth.
No, that'll be in the next section. That'll be in Rebirth.
Exactly.
But my point just being
we
that,
don't
like,
know what's going to happen there.
the whole thing is just like, for a game that I remember for how deep and touching the story is, I had forgotten just how many dumb, ridiculous non sequiturs.
Tonally, it is a roller coaster.
It's exactly that.
Some might say also a mess, but it's at least a roller coaster.
It is a roller coaster indeed. I love it. It's hilarious, like out loud loving it. So anyway, Mosaic says, my son bought me all the DLC for Binding of Isaac because I only play games on my phone, apparently.
Well, then you don't have another game you're fine for the rest of your life.
Yeah, the rest of your life. Absolutely. I just, on a recommendation from a podcast I listened to, started playing Tengus Duck, I think is what it's called. Tengus Goose? Tengus Goose.
Tengus Goose.
I'm not going to play it very much. I'm probably, in fact, going to delete it soon because it's weird, but it's really weird. Here's the premise. Ready? Here's the premise of the game. There's a pregnant woman who goes to the doctor because she's about to give birth. It's like little stick figure type drawings. They're not, any intricacy, but she goes and she lies down because she's about to give birth, and then a goose flies in and lands on her stomach, and her stomach like assimilates the goose, and then the goose neck sprouts from her belly, and you have to water the goose to make its neck grow. And as it's growing, the head is spitting out babies, and you have to tap the babies to gain money, and you use the money to get more water to water the goose to grow the neck.
Mhm.
It's really weird.
And it's made me more and more uncomfortable.
It
I don't
sounds like
even
a
want to
dream
tell you about like
somebody
the
had.
specials. Like it's a tale as old as time, right? It's it's the story.
I hate when
retold
games
over and
just
over
lean
again.
into tropes and just don't do anything original. Like, it's just so annoying. Come on.
Bubba says I'm playing Genesia, a roguelike bullet heaven vampire survivors-esque game on Steam. Big fan. I have not heard of this. I've heard Rogue. Maybe it was a mistype. Rogue Genesis, I think, is the game. Yes,
Oh,
I think. Let's find out. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Bubba, but I'm pretty
I know.
sure
nope, it's Rogue Genesia.
it is. Okay, so I'm thinking of an entirely different game then. Isn't there a Rogue Genesis as well? Rogue
There's
Genesis.
There's Rogue Galaxy. There's
Nope,
Rogue
I'm wrong. I'm
Legacy.
wrong. Bubba is
There's
right.
Rogue.
I am wrong. It's Rogue Genesia. Anyway,
I've seen him. Vampire Survivors. That game's nuts.
It's super fun.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I played a free version called HoloCure that's based on VTubers. I have watched 0 VTubers ever in my life. I played this one because it was free, and I still put in like 30, 40 hours into this game. No idea. So many clearly like niche inside tropes and whatnot entirely over my head. It was just that much fun. So good.
Hey, I will apologize. You're probably going to hear my kids scream or cry at some point throughout the show.
Oh, that's no worries at all.
We're a very professional outfit here, so
Yeah.
thank you for apologizing.
I would not be
We
surprised.
should get into the podcast now.
Oh, we should podcast now?
Yeah.
Okay, hey, we're going to podcast now, everybody. When we podcast, just a heads up that we don't really interact with the chat. This is because we syndicate this later as a podcast itself. And for people listening after the fact, it's not great to hear us talking to words because they can't see those words and whatnot. So, but that isn't to say to not put those words in the chat, because here's what's going to happen. We're going to podcast. You put in all your comments, all your thoughts, and then once we're done, there's going to be a post show in which we go back and we go over the comments and we have a Farrago Fox podcast schmodcast. We're going to come back
our
through.
podcast is kind of just more of the same, but you know.
We're going to come back through and we're going to chat with you guys at that point and go through everything. So keep putting in those chats, keep putting in everything there. But with that being said, are we all ready to podcast? Yes. All right. Fox, today on the Nerdy Gritty, why are so many YouTubers quitting? Just go with that.
Sounds great.
Cool.
We're joined by Radio Matt.
Oh, yeah. We're joined by Radio Matt to discuss why are so many YouTubers. Yeah. Okay. Who's got it? Me or you?
I'm doing the intro, so you do.
Cool. All right. In 3, 2, today on the Nerdy Gritty, we're joined by Radio Matt from Love Thy Nerd to discuss why are so many YouTubers quitting.
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. Well, they make a man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Nope, not that one. Hold on. Wait, everybody. That one. Go ahead, Fox.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I have a sad announcement, and that is I am quitting YouTube again.
Again.
And my name is Fox. We
I've
never
already-
did a formal ending thing, so
I have already quit YouTube, and I have returned from Des as Steve now. So I,
change your identity.
yeah, come full circle. I, much like Saul and Paul, I have changed my name, but it's actually been my name the whole time. So
Equally
it's fine.
important.
Yeah, exactly. Equally important. Yes. Look, Saul was a follower of, or Paul, same person, was a follower of Jesus, exactly like I'm a follower of Jesus. Therefore, he and I are completely equal. Book of James, chapter 2.
Oh nope. Let's move on.
Podcast
Hey, who do we
canceled.
have? Who do we have with us today?
Hey, we want to introduce a wonderful guest to you guys. Everybody say hello to Radio Matt. How you doing, Matt?
I am fan-freaking-tastic.
Hey, Matt, I have a vitally important question for you.
Yes.
Why is it Radio Matt? Let us know.
So before joining LTN, I ran my own ministry. It was called Back Row. the back row essentially. But we eventually started a radio station, a Christian radio station, because there were no good Christian rock, rap, pop, indie radio stations anymore in our area anyway that we can find. So we're like, we're going to start our own. So we did that. It's called Back Row Radio. It was great. But as that ministry was winding down and I was falling more in love with Love Thy Nerd, which is the ministry I'm involved in now, I begged them essentially to assimilate the radio station into their ministry, which Bubba did with probably a bit of nepotism just because we were childhood friends. But when I joined, there was already a Matt on staff, which is, Matt Warmbier over at Love Thy Nerd. And so we had to come up with a nickname for me. And so he is Matt Prime and I am Radio Matt, because that's how I joined as the radio.
I think he should now be dubbed as Analog Matt, and you can be Radio Matt. I think that would be the much better thing.
I'll start calling him that, if nothing
there
else.
you go. So funny thing about Matt Prime, there is a brand of sleeves, like card game sleeves, called Gamegenic, and they have a style of sleeve that they call their Prime sleeves, and that can come in glossy or it can come in matte. And so there are matte Prime sleeves that that I see all the time.
That's my preferred sleeve.
Agreed.
Actually.
I have a lot of matte Prime sleeves.
Matte Prime. That's usually what I go with.
That's beautiful.
Fun fact.
All right, whatever. That's all. Who cares? We got to talk about some anime right now. It's time to talk about anime.
Let's make
Matt,
it
are you into anime at all?
I tried. I really tried.
No, that's fair. I completely understand. And it's okay. It's irrelevant if you actually are interested in anime for this that we're going to talk about. I read a lot of manga, but I still really don't get into anime unless it's something specific. Like Cyberpunk Edge Runners is great, or I've been watching Castlevania, things like that.
Wow,
anyway,
very good.
There was a big survey that was sent out a few months ago on Polygon. I actually took the survey when it came out, and it's essentially just, hey, we want to see how people feel about anime, get some statistics on it, things like that. So this is, we're going to go through this survey. I'm going to actually quiz. We're going to have a contest here between you two. I'm going to ask you a question. Whoever can get, closest to the right answer, things like that on the end. So this is from Polygon. This is 4,000 people responded to this survey.
That's a lot of
pretty
people.
big sample size. It's specifically people who are on Polygon, so that's gonna, whatever. But let's go through it. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna ask you questions, and I'm gonna ask you each for your answer, and you're gonna go with closest without going over rules. Price is right
rules. Yep.
Price is right rules. So let's first talk about kind of demographics, generational demographics on who watches anime. Let's go with okay.
Your grandma.
Steve, you're firm in the Gen X. You're really a Gen Xer.
I'm
would
not.
say.
I'm technically a millennial.
I would say
we are zillennials. We are zillennials.
I would say you are right on the right on the. I would say culturally you're a Gen X.
I'm a Gen X. Yes, that is true.
Anyway, let's okay. How many out of 100%, of course? How many Gen X or how many people identified as Gen X? These are people who watch. Hold on, watch anime weekly.
Okay, weekly watchers of anime. How many of them also identified as Gen X? We didn't talk about it a lot back then. It was kind of like a secret.
Yeah, but that was like the heyday of like Toonami. Like you had DBZ and all kinds of good stuff.
Pokemon stuff was coming up.
Pokemon Zoids was on. I watched a lot of Zoids.
The question was, did we consider that anime though? Because like if somebody said I watch Pokemon, there wouldn't be like, oh, you watch that anime stuff. Like
that's true. I watched a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh. I wouldn't have said I was like, an anime fan.
Yeah, Berserk and Blue Gender and like these wild Trigun things. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. This is who self-identified.
13%.
And Matt, what do you think?
I was gonna say 24, but since we're doing Price is Right rules, I will say 14. I'll be that guy.
Oh, you're that guy. Well, I'm sorry, you're both wrong, but impressively close. 12%.
Yes! Oh man.
So close, but over by 1%. So I cannot give you credit.
I'll happily.
All right. How about millennials? How millennials?
I guarantee
that's where I am.
That's going to be a big swing because Toonami hit when we were like 15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
Millennials were raised on Toonami.
Yep. I
Yeah.
100%. I watched Zoids every morning before going to school.
So what do you think, Matt? You go first this time.
All right, I'll do the 24 this time. 24%.
Okay.
I'm going to take that up, and I'm going to go 32%.
Congratulations, Matt. It was 25.
Whoa, man.
Basically, as
really
close
good
as you can
here.
get.
Wow.
That's a
Good,
huge
good.
jump, though. That's more than twice as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a huge amount. Okay, let's go with Gen Z. How many people watch? How many Gen Zers, self-identified Gen Zers, watch anime weekly?
I'm going to
She's-
say
You
it's my turn to
We're
go
getting
first.
some math. Remember, we're getting some math in here now because obviously it's going to equal 100. So, oh, wait, hold on. It does not equal 100. I
No.
think there were other things that they could have identified as, or just chose not to answer. So
Right.
the whole percentage-wise does not actually equal 100.
Right. It shouldn't.
Just so you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
isn't it 100% of each demographic, and we're saying how much of that 100% for millennials?
I guess that's true. I was reading it wrong. Anyway,
just-
percentage of self-identified as yeah. So what's the number for Gen Z?
I'm going to say 37%.
37. Okay.
A similar increase number.
I'm wondering if it went down.
Ooh.
Oh, interesting.
I'm gonna say 20%.
20%. All right, Steve, I got to give it to you. It's 42%.
Wow.
Wow, that is
42.
jumping.
42%. All right, last one on
I
this
was
one.
thinking oversaturation. Like maybe they were just like, no, there's too much of
Right.
it.
It's possible. It's possible. How many boomers? How many
Boomers.
baby boomers watch
Go ahead, Matt, you first.
2%.
I'm
Like
going to go with less. I'm going to say 1%.
Oh man, it is 3%.
No.
That one was I'm gonna give on to Matt. Matt takes the generation 2-1. Both of you got the first one wrong. Okay.
You did it. Good work, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Of the people surveyed, how many people has reported that they have developed a crush on an anime character?
Of
Steve,
okay.
I know you're in there.
Oh,
I know you're in
100%
there.
yes,
Sailor
absolutely.
Jupiter?
Sailor Mars. How dare
Mars,
you?
sorry. I haven't we don't talk about this very often. I knew it was a Sailor Moon.
I was
But,
like 11 years old, and I fell in love with Sailor Mars. 100% yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Percentage wise, Matt, I'm gonna have you go, or no, you went first last time. Steve,
What's
you
the
go.
question again, though? Can you lay out the question one more time?
Yeah, what percentage of anime viewers developed a crush on an anime character?
All viewers. Got
Yeah,
it.
yes, like legitimately, I'm gonna go with 91%.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's got to be high. I'll do 75.
Wow, is 44 according
No
to this.
way.
Really?
Now, there's a little quote here from Edwin Wong, the SVP of Insights at Vox Media. The other 56% are lying.
Because I will say, I have never met somebody who would consider themselves somebody who likes to watch anime, like who will admit, yes, I enjoy anime, who would not also say that at some point they said, yeah, I would, I got a crush on somebody. Yeah, 100%.
Out of the few I watched when I was younger, I don't now, but when I was younger, it'd probably either be like Misty or Bulma, like just,
Yeah.
I didn't watch a lot of obscure stuff. Okay, let's see this.
Because the chat's agreeing here, by the way, liars. They're all
Yeah, they're all
56%
liars.
of
They're all
liars. Yeah.
All right, here we go. What percentage of anime viewers find anime more emotionally compelling than other forms of media? Anime more
Ooh.
emotionally compelling than other forms of media. Matt, I want to get
Yeah, I'm
you
not
go
sure
first.
if I want to fall in the same trap of guessing too high now.
Okay.
I'll just do straight 50%.
50%.
I was thinking the same thing there. Dang it. I don't
Well,
want to be that guy.
I was once. I was once. It didn't help us any because we both
It's true. It was not
Yeah.
useful.
All I'm going to say if they are committed weekly anime watchers, then I'm going to go with 60%.
The answer is 65.
Yes!
65% of anime viewers find anime more emotionally compelling than other forms of media.
Here's what
I
I'll
don't,
say
I
in
don't
their
remember all
defense.
my answers, but I definitely would not have said yes to that one.
Here's what I'll say in their defense is that particularly if you're a Gen X or an early millennial or before that, this was at a time in which television was produced for weekly content for as long as humanly possible, and a time that movies were like there was a lot more general consumption. It was a lot harder to get an indie film or like a smaller film, really, really up there. Anime was this thing that they had no problem making a 5-episode something and saying, here's our anime, we love it, 30 episodes, here it is, this is the story we wanted to tell them, that's it. So I could absolutely see that for some people. Yes, I would not say that anymore either, but at one point I would have agreed.
Sure. Oh, I'm not saying it's a bad or good thing. I'm just saying it's probably not where I would land. All right, one last question here. What is let's see. Let's do it this way. I'm gonna give you a few of like places you can watch anime. Okay. And I want you guys to rank them. Which is gonna be, I'll give you 4 of them here.
Got it.
There's a lot more on here, but I'll give you 4 so we don't you don't have to remember all of them.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna give you let's see, Crunchyroll, of course. Crunchyroll. It's a anime specific viewing streaming service. Netflix. I'll give you Netflix. Hulu as the third one, and then for the last one I'll say Amazon Prime Video. Let's rank where this is overall. This is Gen Z and millennials specifically.
Yeah.
Where they watch anime. This will be our last question. So yeah, let's rank them. Steve,
hold on. The 5 are
4.
4.
4.
Netflix,
Amazon
Prime,
Crunchyroll,
Hulu.
Okay. Then in order, I'm going to say Hulu, Crunchyroll, Netflix, Amazon Prime.
Okay. And so that was Hulu, Crunchyroll, Netflix, Amazon.
Correct.
Okay. Matt?
I'm going to swap a couple and go Netflix, Crunchyroll, Hulu, Amazon.
Okay. I'm going to give that one to Matt.
Dang it.
Because you had one correct.
Whoa!
So you were wrong on all of them. It was, so the order is Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Crunchyroll.
Really?
Crunchyroll is
Wow.
last. And now here's my theory, is that this is Gen Z and millennials, the younger side of things. And a lot of people already have Netflix. The families will have Netflix. And Netflix has a pretty good selection of anime, including original anime,
Right.
things you can only watch there.
I should have thought
So
of that,
it by far has, Crunchyroll has way more options, but it's something you would additionally have to pay for.
I didn't think that. I think for some reason in my mind I was thinking Crunchyroll as a YouTube-esque kind of my free thing, because I there are a couple kids in my church, teenagers in my church, and they're on that all the time.
Sure.
But I guess their parents paid for a subscription.
Maybe. So yeah, Netflix outranks everything by far, as far as anime watching goes. All right. Well, you both did pretty okay.
Not great.
I'll take pretty okay, just like I did in college. Woo!
Not worse. Good job, everybody. All right.
Passing grades. Hey, should we get on to news, Fox?
Yeah, let's talk about some news.
Okay, you have bad news. I want you to go first so I can end with happy news. You go first.
Yeah, I have some rough news for the gaming industry. This is from Kotaku. It's the title of the article is a good way to summarize it. 29 days into 2024. Obviously, this came out yesterday as of recording this, and more than 6,000 video game layoffs have been announced.
Good grief.
Less than a month, more than 6,000 layoffs have been announced. So some big ones, 500 people from Twitch. That's like 35% of their workforce. That's a big drop. 17% of Discord at 170 people from Discord. Riot, Steve, you texted me about this the other day.
Yeah.
530, which is about 11%. And Microsoft, in their gaming specific, area of their company, 1,900 people, which is
Jeez.
8.6% of their
Yeah.
of that thing. Yeah, it's been pretty bad for gaming layoffs. Although I do have some fun little news that has come out of this also. There's been a report of one Blizzard employee who was laid off. Once he realized he tweeted this or whatever social media this is. I don't. It's hard to tell at this point. There's so many of them. Once I realized what was happening, and that I was going to be laid off, I made sure to jump into Keyring, which is a Blizzard, basically like internal service that lets them claim game time and gain codes and stuff for free game time. He jumped into Keyring and used all the one year subscription codes that he had left. So basically, he got laid off, but just in time claimed 10 years of free WoW. little extra bonus on the end of his career. At the end of his career at Blizzard is now he doesn't have to pay for WoW for 10 years, which is probably nice because he likes playing it, but doesn't have to give them money.
That also seems like the tiniest of like, hey, I feel like they should do that with any employee who's worked with them for 3 years or longer or whatever.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, you now have a free lifetime subscription to WoW.
Well, that'd be a lot, and clearly they're not super into giving a lot of.
How many employees does Blizzard have? Guesstimate.
Well, a bunch. I might be able to figure that out real quick. I guess it was part of the Microsoft layoff thing because they own them now. But
Here's my point. Whatever it is, there's like 15 million WoW users.
yeah,
And if we subtract employee turnover from Blizzard, I'm sure we're going to lose at least 20-30% of their workforce of people who don't stay there for more than a couple of years. Like, it can't be a huge amount of people if they were to say 2 years or longer lifetime subscription to
That's
WoW.
part of your severance. Yeah.
Yeah, like, that can't be hard.
no, it's not going to be a huge dent.
Yeah.
It just sucks. It sucks to see, especially on January 24th. Microsoft became the third company in history to be worth more than $3 trillion.
Oof.
But
Yeah,
we can't pay those people.
It is tough in a lot of these. I mean, I know you're talking video games, but of course, Funko Games got bought out by Goliath just a couple weeks ago, and a lot of those Funko Games people are gone now too.
Yeah,
and that is just—it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking as nerds who love this space and want this space to continue to grow, because it makes us feel like we can't celebrate these spaces as much. It's painful. It's just like when the writer's strike or whatever is going on.
Mhm.
It's like it kind of feels bad to even watch stuff now until we get this figured out.
sure.
No, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right though, talking about how like it hurts to not be able to support something we love. Like I've been feeling that way about Magic Gatherings. I love this game. It's so fun, and I've had friends recently get back into it, but I've just been really unhappy. Yeah, like Fox here. I personally been really unhappy with their practices recently and their layoffs and sending the Pinkertons after people and things like that. And the actual literal Pinkertons after people. And I'm playing Lorcana now anyway, more than anything. And so it's just like, I don't want to give them any more money, and it's hard. Yeah. Hey, should we brighten things up here?
Yeah,
Please.
let's get some good news.
Hey, you guys know about the Saturn Awards?
Sounds familiar.
They give the same award to the planet Saturn.
Every
Most-
year. Best
most Saturn-like.
rings.
Best Saturn.
They like it so
Best
much they
planet
put a
called
ring on
Saturn.
it. The Saturn Awards are an annual award for specifically science fiction, fantasy, and horror films.
Yeah.
I knew that. I knew that. Yeah.
And so it is, they celebrate these specific genres of films, basically nerd culture films in a really big way. Well, they are creating a brand new award, which is essentially like a legacy award, it's being called. It is the Lance Reddick Legacy Award.
Okay.
Named after the late Lance Reddick,
Yeah.
who has been in such incredible films like John Wick, the Resident Evil.
okay.
Yeah, the Resident Evil TV show. He was
Yeah.
the voice of one of the main. To call him a villain isn't right, but one of the main characters in the Horizon games.
Yeah.
Just a spectacular actor, spectacular voice actor. They are creating a brand new award for the Lance Reddick Legacy Award, and
Cool.
the very first recipient of the Lance Reddick Legacy Award is Keanu Reeves, his
Beautiful.
personal friend,
All right.
Keanu Reeves.
It's not a posthumous Lance Reddick, which is interesting. But yeah,
Well, he got the it's his award.
Named after his award.
named
Technically,
after him. I
every
think.
one of them is his award.
That would be
Fair
the,
point.
the meme of Obama putting the award on Obama. Like,
Medal of Honor.
yes.
That's nice.
That's so cool, man. They're saying here specifically that John Wick, yes, but Keanu Reeves, the field deserves this for his contributions through films like John Wick, The Matrix, Bill and Ted, Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, Constantine, among many others. The 59-year-old actor, quote, has done it all.
Okay.
It's pretty beautiful.
It's wonderful.
I'm looking at their nominees right now, because their awards are in a couple weeks. Actually, this weekend. I'm gonna give The Creator, best sci-fi, Dungeons and Dragons, best fantasy.
Hey, Fox,
That's all I got.
just say that makes you feel good, and can we get down to the nitty gritty?
Yeah, let's go down in there. The Creator is pretty good though.
So recently, man, the one that really got me was Matt Pat, but it's not just him, right? Recently, a ton of YouTubers have been coming forward with videos, tearful responses, emotional walks through the fields and things like that, looking at the camera and saying, it's true. I'm not joking, man. Like,
Yeah.
these are real things. Yeah. And looking at the camera and saying, we're done. I'm done. This is going to be my last video, or I'm going to be posting instead of once a week, maybe once every other month, or whatever it is. If not pulling back in a huge way, then quitting altogether.
Mm-hmm.
We are seeing some massive names do this for a lot of different reasons. So Joe Cat was the victim of a lot of harassment. He does the not Idiot's Guide to D&D, something of that nature, but Joe Cat's a very popular YouTuber. Matt Pat did it. He's got family he wants to focus on. Captain Sparkles, Meat Canyon, like so many people have come forward and said, we're done. So today, here's what we want to do. We want to discuss an article that Radio Matt here wrote for Love Thy Nerd. We will, if you have not seen this article, we're going to put it in the comments of some of the socials that we've shared about it. But if you go to lovethynerd.com and check their blogs, you'll be able to find this there. The article is just simply titled, "Why Are So Many Big YouTubers Quitting?" So before we really dig into this here, Matt, what made you want to write this article?
Well, it's essentially what you brought up. I watched that Matt Pat video. And like he's not even gone yet. He's still doing, I think, a couple more months worth of videos that they've already started working on. But like seeing just the thumbnail with his teary-eyed, that's the picture they picked for it. And they've done clickbaity kind of things like that in the past, but I just had a pit in my stomach as soon as I saw that. Like, oh no, this is real. And he mentioned several others that had announced walking away, specifically Tom Scott and I think a couple of the Minecraft streamers. But it made me do a deep dive into, oh my gosh, since November, there have been so many, a handful. I mean, but that's a lot when it comes to
Probably like a dozen.
Yeah, when that have multi-million subscribers. Like that's a money-making channel doing something that these people love and have done for a long time, all kind of deciding now's the time. And that really got me thinking of like why now? Like there are different reasons that it could play a role in it, like YouTube always finagling how the algorithm works and how the payout system works and all that. But in reality, I think it's that there's a lot of people coming to a realization that this kind of content creation just isn't sustainable. and no amount of money, or eventually you reach a point where no amount of money makes you want to keep doing it forever.
Yeah.
So
Which I mean, we'll talk about, but
a couple of things here then before we really dig into the conversation.
Mhm.
Number one, the obvious plain answer is something Matt already brought up, is that YouTube does change the way that they make they do the payouts and how these people make money, and it can get complicated and it can impact their bottom line. And if they create a budget and then YouTube changes how much money they're making, there's some pretty easy, simple money answers in there. But like Matt already said, these are all multi-million subscriber channels, uh, and people who are also having like what's the word where that people are paying them to stream things, sponsored, a lot of sponsored
Yeah,
content, a lot of stuff. So they're getting to have different financial income as well. They're making plenty of money on YouTube as it is. Like, sure, maybe it might throw a wrench in their works, but it is not saying that they can't sustain themselves anymore.
right.
Second of all, I will say that Fox and I have a unique perspective. He and I were maybe not popular or famous or anything like that, but we were consistent weekly, daily YouTubers for 6 years. He and I posting a lot of Let's Play gaming content as well as like news content. And again, while we weren't particularly popular, we had videos with thousands, if not tens of thousands of views. He and I got media access to a lot of cool things. Like we weren't unknown. Like we weren't non-existent as well. But also we came to a point in our lives when we decided, hey, we're kind of done with this. It's probably time that we should be done with this. So
Specifically, I sent a picture of my newborn baby to Steve. I was like, "Got to take a break,"
yep, we're done.
and that break is now. How old is he? Two and a half. It's
Your
two and
first,
a half
was it your
years.
first baby, I'm assuming.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Is it your first baby? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
That first baby comes, and you get hit with a realization, and you're like, you know what? There's a lot of things in my life I can cut out right
Yep.
now.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So, what we want to discuss today is why. What is going on? Obviously, we can't know. Each person's going to have different reasons. Like we already said before, Matt Pat has a kid that he's feeling like he's not spending enough time with. He mentioned that. We know Joe Cat was the victim of a lot of harassment. He's got that situation going on. So it's going to be different for each person. But Matt, I think, does an outstanding job laying out some pretty like umbrella issues that go on when you're in this kind of work. And the reason I really wanted to talk about this is as I was going through the article, all I was saying was, yeah, I remember exactly that. Yeah, I remember exactly. Yeah, it was just like that. Yes, that's absolutely true. So what we're going to do here is Matt has his article broken down pretty well into some good sections. We're just going to hit each of these sections here and chat about them for a little bit. The first one being blurred lines, and kind of the tagline I've said on here is, where does play end and work begin? So Matt, we're just going to pass that over to you for a second here and say, what do you mean by blurred lines? Why do you think this is an impact on these people?
Yeah. So when I was researching the article, I actually went and I watched as many of these videos in full as I could, and I think the streamer or vlogger, essentially Seth Everman, who had 4.26 million subscribers and said goodbye in November, really kind of encapsulated what all the others said in a way, and it's that when it comes down to even the mundane parts of your life, you feel like you're always needing to farm your life for content. He said he even tried to take a vacation, and he would be sitting there trying to relax, feeling anxious that he's not vlogging the vacation for future content. And it becomes, we're in such a content driven, content focused society right now. I mean, the same thing goes with TikTok and everything. You have so many TikTokers that feel like they have to have a brand new TikTok every day. Some do it every few hours, and if they don't, they're going to lose the draw. They're going to lose the attention of the viewer, and then their numbers are going to go down. They're going to lose money, and that's something that, when we think of normal television and normal movies and things that take years and years to write and film and produce and edit and all this, and you realize that each one of those groups gets time off in between all these things. The actors aren't acting for the full year that it's coming out.
Right.
They'll record them all on a set or have time off, have a few days here and there, but for people that are creating content on YouTube and TikTok and things like that, even Twitch, it's like a day in, day out. Like this is your full-time job, always being a personality, always trying to come up with something new and something fresh. You have people making, you know, what would normally be 10 years worth of content on a TV show in a year. It might not all be great gold content, but it's still something that people are expecting to see. And if you don't see something new from that person in a while, you click off of them. You stop seeing them in your feed.
Yeah.
They stop getting by an algorithm. So it's this constant need to innovate and entertain, and you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again either. It's just explaining it is exhausting me right now.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and
that demand. There's a YouTube channel I watch like consistently called Girlfriend Reviews. Funny reviews of video games. Basically, you can look it up if you want to. Really
Got it.
great. They used to do a weekly video, and then went through some. Maybe we'll talk about this at some point, but basically got harassed pretty heavily online for a couple of things that they put out, which, in my opinion, were unmerited. You know, you can have a different opinion, but their harassment was not reasonable.
Right.
It was harassment. It wasn't a difference of opinion.
right.
You know. So anyway, it seems at one point I realized, hell, they haven't put out a video in a little while. I wonder if they decided to call it quits or whatever. I just Googled it, and on Reddit somebody had asked like, yeah, haven't seen a video from them in a long time. What happened? Are they done? And I checked the dates and stuff, and it had been 13 days since they put out a video.
Right.
And it just like gave me this like feeling of like, oh man, if it's 13 days and it's a long time, that demand is that's so rough that there's this audience, at least a portion of the audience, expecting that you put out something. And their stuff, they have talked about, it takes literally days of their time in recording content and voiceovers and all these things.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's this audience demand, and that just burnout, like it's just so much.
Yeah,
Well,
imagine thinking that about like any TV show or whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's been 2 weeks and they haven't come out with the next season yet. I guess they're done. I guess they got canceled.
Yeah.
It's unreasonable.
Well, and then the unique part of this is that for so many of these people, this is their hobby, their pastime. Like we talk about actors, right? Actors don't take time off and then go act more. Like whatever. So athletes
Right.
don't take time off and then go play more of that same sport or whatever. But
Right.
we who play video games, when Fox started doing Let's Plays, we would want to relax and we'd play a video game,
Mhm.
or vloggers, when they want to relax, they would go do other things. And when you start overlapping those things, and there's absolutely a moment when you start to think to yourself, man, I probably should be recording this though.
Yeah, why not? I'm already doing it.
Right. Like and then all of a sudden this thing has now stolen your passion and turned it into a job. And just it takes that. And so it really becomes, I just remember so much when we were doing YouTube thinking to myself, I should be recording this. Why am I not recording this? The reason I started a YouTube channel, like I asked Fox and we got it going, was because when I game, I talk to myself anyway. I will speak out loud. I'm an external processor. And so I figured might as well just put a microphone in front of myself. It'll be the same thing anyway. And so I would just think to myself, man, I really should be recording this. And I'd be disappointed in myself when I wasn't. And so once you start to blur those lines, like it gets so hard to just relax.
Yeah.
I did a which I'll talk about more in another section, but I did a show with one of my best friends. Her name's Megan. Did a show with her for close to 7 years. And it got to the point where we couldn't talk throughout the week because then if we had a good conversation, we just wasted it. When we could have had it on the show.
Like,
and now we've had it.
Steve and I do the same thing.
Fox and I will say, we guys save it for the podcast. Save it for the podcast.
just wait.
We'll change
Just
the
hold on.
subject.
And that just it kind of killed our friendship throughout the week. We had a blast when we were recording, but like we ignored each other almost throughout the week just for fear of ruining content.
I haven't said this aloud, so I don't know where you're at, Fox, but I have come to this point where I have to say, I don't care anymore. I'm going to tell you this now because I'm excited to talk to you about this,
Mhm.
and then I'm going to repeat it on the podcast.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're going to
And
pretend
yeah.
like it's like
It
not-
really isn't a problem. It doesn't
Right.
even matter. We'll just say, hey, we talked about this a little bit, but let's bring this up, you know?
yeah.
Mhm.
And anyway, like it's really like a weird fear that's just like,
Mhm.
which it's a very clear sign of like this, my life is content.
Mhm.
What is monetizable or uploadable about my life?
Yeah.
Well, I think
And
that's
really, that is a bad way to look at your life.
I think that's a great transition line there too. In the next step here, saying a balancing act. You go into talking about kind of the boundaries and what it means to draw boundaries. So, boundaries is something that's become more common a phrase or more common a word in the past decade or so. But I wouldn't say that it's common now, like that everybody draws boundaries in their lives. So Matt, can you take a second, describe what you mean by boundaries and why that can be a problem in this line of work?
Yeah. I mean, essentially, it's the same way that you should treat um, relationships with like family or friends, especially if those people aren't always the most positive people to be around. Is like if being with this person is going to drain some of your energy for the day, mental, physical energy for the day, then you can't let them be in your entire day. You can't be in your entire life. You have to draw a boundary, say, all right, I gotta go sit in a room quietly somewhere. Something like that. With content creation, and I think like I said, it's something like you said, this is kind of something we're straying away from even knowing is a possibility. We have to protect ourselves from burning out. And sometimes that requires a forceful, deliberate break. So let me go back to what I was going to say about the show. Before at the intro, I told you I'd run a thing called the Back Row. We started as a podcast, my friend Megan and I, a once a week podcast, just talking about faith and humor and stuff like that. It was a goofy thing. When we started the radio station, which was about 2.5 years later, we thought, well, let's just transition this into a morning show. And so we recorded 5 days worth of morning shows, went from doing 1 hour long podcast a week to now 5.5 hour long morning shows
Oof.
a week. And we did that every week that it was possible to do for about 7 years. And by the end, we didn't end the way we wanted to. Like we were it kind of just had to happen. Different things in life all happened all at once. But I was kind of, as much as I was sad to see the show end, especially after so long, I was kind of relieved that, okay, we could take a break. My wife and I were going to try and start another one up. We took a few months off, started working a show, started doing 4 days a week, and realized, nah, I can't do it again. I can't go back to it. So we're doing something that's once a week now, which is much more sustainable. But what Love Thy Nerd did, which we didn't follow as the morning show because I felt I was better than everybody.
Man, we all get that. Don't worry. Yeah.
Maybe you amateurs need this.
Was that we have 9 different shows at Love Thy Nerd on our podcast network. Every year, twice a year, we make our shows take a 2-month break 2 times. So each season is 4 months long, 2 seasons a year, and we make them take June and July off, and we make them take December and January off. That way, not only can you enjoy the holidays, the summer break, or the Christmas time without feeling the extra pressure of needing to create content, but it just gives you time to wake up and not think about making something. Lets you play that game you've been putting off because you've been too busy thinking of your next script or whatever, or work on another project that you love that's not for your podcast or for any other service, and of course spend more time with family, which is something that I think all of us need to do and don't think about as much, which we will when we're older. There's your sad thing. Um, like I have to do that with my day too now, because in my day I'm home alone with my littlest, my little daughter, and I was working while she's playing, and I'm like, man, I should spend a couple hours out there with her. I can push my work till later in the day, but if it's just me and her, let's spend some time together
Mm.
while I can, because it's not going to be there forever. And that's one of the things you see with MatPat. MatPat's talking about his kids already, I think, five or six.
Yeah.
And, he started 13 years ago doing the Game Theorist, and now they have 4 different channels plus their live channel, which even though he's not, they have a big team, he still has a hand in every single one of those things. And he's usually the host for every single video. And that's not an easy life. They're coming out with at least one video a week on every one of those channels, sometimes more. The pace that he and his wife have to keep up for that has got to be excruciating. And so while it sucks, because definitely one of the top YouTubers, one of my absolute favorites, gosh, I feel so good for him.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be worth it.
Yep.
Once he takes the hands off the reins and he breathes and he learns to live this new life free of theorist work, he's gonna love it. And I don't think he's gonna look back. He's still gonna want to do a little bit here every now and then, and he said as much. He'll pop back in every now and then. But I think the ability to breathe is going to be great.
Yeah.
And so if we can't find that kind of balance, he could. What I'm saying is, had he been able to, had the YouTube algorithm and everything allowed him to do this at a slower pace, I think things would have been much more sustainable. He probably could have done this for years. You look at Dude Perfect. Dude Perfect now puts out one video every 2 weeks. That's not a lot of content in a year.
Not at all.
They're thriving. They all have families.
Yeah.
But they are building and growing. They're about to make this massive theme park-esque 3rd headquarters somewhere in Texas, I think. Like, they found the balance, it looks like. But I don't know. I don't know if just our culture is to the point where it'll let us get there for most people.
Well, because the truth is that this isn't exclusively a content creator issue. People with normal jobs struggle, especially now that remote work is so common, or having a laptop is so common. It's so easy to be able to, well, you know what? We're going to put on a movie and sit here for a couple of hours. I might as well open my laptop and take care of some work as well. And when you are not drawing those clear lines between, I mean, I have to say, I am super guilty of this. I really, really am, of being able to say, you know what? I did get a message on my phone. Save Point got a new submission. Somebody's looking for a church. I promise you they can wait till tomorrow. I feel like I need to email them right away and at least let them know, yeah, hey man, we got that email and yeah, everything's going okay. But being able to stop yourself and say, that is work time. This is me time. This playtime. Is something that you wrote about in your article that I was so impressed by, is that Love Thy Nerd has 2 hiatuses a year required for their podcasts.
It's not optional.
Yeah. So they each podcast, they skip, let's see, I got the article open right here. It is...
Yeah, it's June and July, and then
June, July, and December, January.
December, January. Yeah. So you podcast.
And that is going to hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
There's no getting around it. It's going to hurt us, because that is 8 weeks each of those times that we're not producing any content. And therefore, anybody who is listening every week and waiting, or every other week, depending on which show it is, waiting for that next one to drop, is going to go look for something else to listen to. And so some of them might not come back. And we understand that. But at the same time, the mental health and well-being of our podcasters is so much more important.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I doubt we'd have 9 shows right now. I'm sure several of the ones that have been going for a while would have fallen off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Free Play, which is one of our, I think the longest running one now that's still going, they've scaled back. They used to be a weekly thing. They used to do it live on Twitch, just like this one is done. They've had to scale back just for, stability, mental stability. and timing to make this last longer and make something worthy of publishing. And I think it's great. I think it's the perfect move for them to do, so we can still have this amazing podcast without killing the people trying to make it.
I mean,
Can
and I think
Oh,
that
go ahead.
I was just go. You finish because I'm going to transition. You go.
That's what I was gonna do too. I wanted to see if there was like we are content creators here talking right now, but we are also consumers. We watch YouTube, whatever listen to podcasts, all that. Most people are consumers. Everybody's a consumer of something. Most people are consuming YouTube channels, podcasts, whatever. Is there a way that we, as the audience, can affect this whole situation, relationship, whatever you want to call it, of YouTubers and content creators, and how we can, I don't know, is it, adjust our expectations or something like that? How can we be a positive influence in this situation? Because if we want our favorite YouTubers to keep going, then how do we help that happen?
Yeah. This is going to be the difficult thing. Like I talked about in the article, this is the culture that we've created. We have created the point where we are not only expecting it but demanding it. We're demanding new content, and we get upset when that changes. And I feel like there's going to have to be some sort of reckoning. There's going to have to be some sort of mass realization that it's unfair of us to ask people to go at this kind of pace, go at this kind of grind, even if they want to do it. That's the most important part. And I think, again, going back to the podcast thing, that's the hardest thing that we got across to some of the people when we first made this decision, is that even if you don't want to take this break, you need to take this break. Because, I do a podcast with a buddy every other week called Two Words, and it's pro wrestling focused. And we could go in there and do it once a week, twice a week, try and keep up with the big names like Wrestle Talk and Cultaholic that are just nonstop wrestling news and wrestling reviews and going into retro stuff and, all kinds of stuff. We could do that. We'd be dead.
Yeah.
But we could do that. Instead, we do every other week, 8 weeks at a time, talk about some of the bigger stuff at our own pace and go back into some nostalgia stuff. And we get good feedback from that. That's something that's not a lower key, chill kind of, wrestling podcast is not a big thing right now. And so we're finding our niche there. I think we need to basically allow people to have seasons. Because I guess the contrast with the podcast that I'm talking about is pro wrestling. Pro wrestling doesn't take time off.
Constantly.
Yeah, they don't give their people break. The only breaks people get is when they get injured and they have to go sit down at home for a while.
Yeah.
And there's been for years a cry like, make it like football and basketball. Give them time off, even if it's just a couple months off season.
Yeah.
Play reruns, play best ofs, during their time slot or whatever. But let them take a break. But the culture that we've created as consumers is that we need. And when we don't get it, we abandon. And we need to stop abandoning the creators that we love. And we've seen several of them. I think the couple that I mentioned in the show were like College Humor. College Humor was a big player on YouTube for a long, long time. Very funny content.
Now drop.
They don't post
right?
that much on YouTube. Now it's Dropout, and they have their own streaming service. Now I know we all have streaming fatigue. We don't want to pay for another streaming service, and so that comes down to supporting what you love versus how much money you have in your pocket. And so if you really want a content creator to continue on, when they break out those avenues, or when they have like Patreons instead of putting ads on their YouTube, so they're not focused so much on the ad revenue and the algorithm, but instead being supported by their fans, that's the method we got to go. Those are systems that are already in place for a lot of places, especially the Patreon route. Unfortunately, that's going to double down on the fact that not every creator is going to be popular and make money. I mean, we know it's already a small percentage of
Yeah.
people who are on TikTok and YouTube that are making money. It's going to be less because you're going to have to prioritize who you want to support and not. But in the end, I think that's going to be a better thing because we're not all made to be content.
Mhm.
We're not all supposed to be here, and we're definitely not supposed to be all here when we are content creators. Our whole life is not supposed to be in front of a screen.
Yeah.
I
And
think
so, yeah, go ahead.
I would say I think a big part of the issue is parasocial relationships. The mindset that, you know, it's a psychological thing where with so many content creators revealing their life so openly, you as
Mm,
the viewer begin to feel like you are a part of their life and you are their friend and you know them personally. And then when they stop contacting you, you feel like, oh no, are we still friends?
Yeah.
Like, oh no, am I still, you know? And so there's this thing that we need to get over as viewers. We need to remind ourselves, I don't know these people. I'm not
mhm.
friends with them. It's, you know, kind of that slap in the face of, look, we maybe they even know my name when I chat with them on Twitch, but they don't know what I look like. They don't know what I do in my free time. We don't talk about personal things. Like, this is not a genuine friendship. I have to stop and remember myself. This is a person I support on the internet.
Mm.
And if they want to take a break, they're going to take a break. And it's not because they don't like me, because they don't even know me. Like,
We should be supporting breaks. We should be supporting
yes.
breaks, especially for mental health purposes. We should, if we do feel like we're their friends, we should treat them like we're their friends
Yeah.
and
That's a
not
good point.
let
Yeah.
them run themselves into the ground. Let them take care of themselves as much as possible.
Well, and that kind of brings it to the next topic here. Of you wrote about a support systems and how something I really love about the whole idea of Love Thy Nerd is it sounds like if you wanted to come out and say, actually, guys, I got this really good idea, and I think for December I'm going to do. It sounds like somebody would come with a ruler and be like, no, you know, slap your
Spray bottle.
hand. Yeah, so you roll up a newspaper and smack you on the head and say, no, this is your sabbatical time. This is your time, and having that type of people to say, stop, don't do that. That's my wife. Like, she's constantly trying to tell me, like, no, you have to draw these lines. You have to draw these boundaries. And so,
Hold on. I need to point out that you just said, "Stop! Don't do that." That's my wife in a very funny way. All right,
Stop
sorry,
hitting her,
derailed
say
us, but
that.
go
I
ahead.
like John Mulaney there for a second.
yeah.
Don't.
Yeah, that's my wife.
But she does that for me. And so
Yeah.
having that kind of support system is so important. Why do you think people don't leverage that? Like, why do you think accountability is so hard in these sort of situations?
I mean, and I think it's the same in any kind of business. Is the idea that work is supreme,
Mm,
that the bottom line is the bottom line, and not your mental health, and not your well-being, not your family. That's something that's existed for all time,
yeah.
Mhm.
and the idea, the culture that Love Thy Nerd has, which I really appreciate, is like you said, trying not to run each other into the ground and trying to protect each other from running ourselves into the ground. And I am probably one of the most guilty on the team. There's a trophy back here. If you're watching the
I see
video
it.
version,
Yep,
there's a
under
trophy
the end
back
there.
here. That is my LTN trophy. That my award was 26-hour workday, because I was working nonstop for a while, like just all day, every day, without taking breaks, trying to get things revitalized and implementing new things and getting adjusted to, new roles and stuff. And, while they were grateful for the work I was doing, there was not a week that went by that, Bubba or somebody wasn't saying, hey, you need to take a break? Are you doing all right?
They presented you with this award and then
What-
they hit you with it and said,
Right.
stop it.
Trying to knock you out so you don't work for 20 minutes.
But I mean, we've all of us have had to take breaks from things. One of the things I mentioned in the article about LTN is that when COVID hit, which is about the time that I joined, we weren't, Love Thy Nerd wasn't on Twitch at all until we're like, well, the year before we had our in-person LTN convention or whatever. This year we were going to have it and now we can't. Let's just get on Twitch and do it live on Twitch. And they did it so well. I wasn't involved with this one. They did it so great. This was kind of like my first event with them. And throughout the next couple of years, as we were all still kind of stuck at home most of the time, they were streaming every day. Somebody was streaming every day. And eventually we got like Frost came in and he did most of that for a while. And that became his job for a while. But then it just really, we were doing half of our podcast too live. And we're recording the morning show that I talked about live on Saturdays. We'd record a session of like 6 hours on Saturdays, recording all of our shows for the next week. So we'd have some live input. And then it just all kind of died down. And I think for the better part of the last year, the only thing that was being recorded was a couple podcasts on Twitch. And then I think right now it's just Matt. Matt took a break for a long time, and now he's back, and he's got a book full of GameCube games that he's going through, and it's some cringy fun content, playing the Ratatouille game.
Man, if you guys don't follow Love Thy Nerd, you got to check out Matt's stuff, because he has the goal to own and play every single GameCube game ever.
And he's close already.
He's played so hundreds, like it's insane. And so, or dozens, I should say. But yeah, and he rates them. He's got like this rating thing. It's wild. So,
and it's a blast, and it's something that he loves. And the deal is that we're not using it for money. It's not making any revenue. If he has to skip a day, he has to skip a day. It's only for a couple hours, 2 days a week. And then the channel's pretty silent. We're not a large scale Twitch streaming organization. And that's because there's so many other more important things that we can devote our time to, that if we tried to do that as well, we'd be cutting out the important things. We'd be cutting out, our time with our church, our time with our family. We'd be cutting out just time to breathe and rest. We'd be cutting out our personal Sabbaths, all that kind of stuff. Those are things that need to be protected. And when you have this workaholic mindset, like I was talking about, being an age-old problem already, when you have this workaholic mindset, you feel like, especially with ministry, because you brought up the thing with Save Point that popped up and you need to respond right away. Especially with ministry, you feel like, well, that doesn't really count as work, right? Because we're doing it for the Lord. Yeah. We should be doing it for the Lord 24/7. And so
we all know Jesus never took a break. He never went off by himself. And
God never took a break. It's certainly not among the first things that he ever did in creation ever.
So I mean, it's a stupidly simple issue that we make so convoluted because of our personal feelings in the moment of, well, this can't be wrong because it's for God.
Yeah.
It can't be wrong to not take a break ever. And so it comes down to our personal mindset as well. Not only do we need to come to that realization that we need breaks, but then we need to translate that to how we see people that we follow in YouTube and TikTok and any other kind of creative outlet as, oh, and they're also people. They also need break. They're people like me. They're not robots.
And I think a big part of this for both sides, for both the viewer and the content creator, is this is their community. When you don't have, and this is kind of a huge part of what we do as Save Point, is trying to give people a church community that they can identify with and have their hobbies and play with, to be able to play with your community that isn't work. And that in such a huge way helps separate those things, where if the community that you play with is also your work or is exclusively online, then you feel like you need that needs to be something. Right. But when you can start to just say, that's a fun person I like to watch online, that's my job, and that's the community that I play with, it becomes so much easier to, number one, have that accountability, and number two, draw those boundaries and just, have that support system among you.
if there was only like one or two people running all the different areas of Love Thy Nerd, we'd all be dead.
Yeah.
So thankfully, we have a team that has their own sections of the ministry that they monitor, including the community and social media and content and resources and the bigger picture stuff and the finances, just like a real business does or company does, LLC and all that. And there are too many of creators, Twitch streamers and YouTubers alike. It's like one person doing all of that. And it's unfair of anybody to think that not only should they do that, but if they don't, we should be upset about it if they're not great about it. And so going back to the support system thing is sometimes you need to get a team.
Yeah.
I think it's the number one thing that I get griped at about by Bubba too, is like, I don't have enough people on my team taking some of the load off of me. And I've gotten a little bit better about it since, joining, but I'm still not great on it because I want to be in control,
I mean,
workaholic mindset.
It's a super practical thing. If you like doing this thing and want to continue liking it, then get somebody this is how you need to do it. Because you're going to start to hate it.
Right.
Like you're going to start to just resent that thing you like because it becomes a problem. Like it becomes just that thing you have to do.
But at the same time, it's also a super logical thing to say, I love this thing. And if I love it, why would I tell somebody else to do it? Like, I'm not going to be like, I love video games. And so, wife, get in there and play video games while I go read a book. Like, that doesn't make sense. And so, there is also, it's not good. It's unhealthy.
No, I understand the logic there. Yes.
Thinks of it, you know what I mean? So,
it seems counterintuitive. But yeah, but it's absolutely right. If you love doing that thing, you can't do it all the time. Right. Otherwise, you're not going to love it after a while. It's like I said, it's like eating cake every day. It's not a treat if it's every day, and it becomes mundane. And then you don't like cake as much anymore, and you don't eat cake for a year. Right. I mean, that's the kind of the thing is, like even now I'm doing this podcast with you guys. It's a Tuesday night, and I keep hearing my kids screaming, and I'm like, oh, see, I know I need to be doing this content, but I feel so bad that I'm not spending some time with my family right now.
My family's out there. I can hear the bass from our speakers of the TV out there. And I'm like, they're watching something without me, Yeah. But that's good. It should be that way, right?
I didn't have that kind of mindset for a while, which is bad.
Yeah, where we long for the rest and recuperation. That's good mindset to have. So on that note, as we kind of wrap up the nerdy gritty itself, the actual main topic, what can we do? I think most people out there are viewers, not content creators. So what can we do as viewers to help make sure our content creators don't burn out?
Yeah. Let them take breaks. Don't complain when they do. I see too many times where they have, people that stream daily or whatever that, took a 2-week break and they come back and the first 50 comments of, hey, you jerk, you abandoned us.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea why they were gone. Give them a break.
Right. Yeah. People have still here. They're not content machines. They are people.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I would also add in that you are not owed an explanation. You do not deserve it. But I give them $5 a month. It doesn't matter. You're not paying for access to their life. If you think you are, stop. It's unhealthy.
Stop giving them that money.
Yes, it's unhealthy.
You're paying for something you're not getting.
Yes. So you're supporting them because of their content. You're not owed their personal life. So just be like, oh, well, they haven't posted in a couple of months. Hey, miss you guys.
Yeah.
That's it.
When they usually when someone's going to take a long break for mental health, they'll usually come on and tell you.
Right.
They'll usually give you a video or whatever. Flood those videos with approval and applause and we'll be here when you get back kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Let them know it's okay if you stop making content for a while. We'll be here when you come back. The creators are going to need to know that.
Yeah.
people are gonna need to know you can take a break. We're not gonna leave. Because otherwise they're gonna just keep thinking in their brain, I gotta get back to it. Or I gotta start recording now so I'll have more stuff when I get back. And that's just as dangerous.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
then
yeah, absence also makes the heart grow fonder.
Mhm.
sure.
You're talking about how wrestling goes 24/7, basically. Like, but I know for a fact, Steve, you are a big baseball fan. You are always excited when the new season is about. When it's about
Yeah.
when opening day is coming. Like that's exciting because you want to get back into that thing you like. Plus, the players got to take a break and get to rest, and you don't have the injuries as often. I assume like content is going to be better if the people get to take a break and also get excited about coming back to it. Like
Mhm.
rather, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
We have to force it with us too. When we take our
Mhm.
breaks, our sabbatical breaks, that's also usually when there's a few lulls in wrestling. And so most of these breaks, John and I just stop watching.
Hmm.
We'll catch a highlight thing every couple weeks just to see where the story's at, but we will not watch the insane amount of wrestling there is every week.
Yeah.
And so opening day with baseball is just like the Royal Rumble in January of WWE, which we just had this past weekend. Like, all right, we're ready. We're ready. WrestleMania's in 3 months. We're ready. Let's go. But we're not that way come July.
Yeah. Yeah.
July, we're like, oh man, how many times can we say this same match over and over again?
Well,
Um,
then let's put a pin in this. Overall, Matt, give us your just general thoughts, and I guess all of us. Let's give our general thoughts on what's happening, what we think this means for the future of YouTubing, of famous YouTubing, things like that. Just kind of like put a cap on this. What do you think, Matt?
I think that it has been nearly 2 decades since YouTube became a popular thing. And the people that have built this platform with their content are slowly starting to age out of it, coming to realize that while this has been great and maybe very financially lucrative, they have aged twice as much in that time. And that is something that we shouldn't encourage or sustain. If we're going to have content creators, both from the side of the viewer and from the side of the creator themselves, we need to put boundaries on things. We need to put limits on things. We need to treat ourselves better and protect ourselves from just burning out on all the things that we love.
Absolutely. Yeah. No notes. Fox, you got anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like everything in life. It's great in moderation.
Mhm.
That includes making content and consuming content
Yeah. Yeah.
because it can become too much on either side.
Gosh, look at the MCU, right? There should be no better. As soon as they started just pumping things out like churning them out like
Hey,
a,
Kevin, take a break.
Yeah.
oh, breathe, my guy.
Well, hey, you in the comments, you in the chat, let us know your thoughts on this. Let us know what you think about the YouTubers quitting. Let us know why, and let us know what you think we can do to help solve this or prevent this. With that being said, though, hey, let's get into what we've been up to, things we've been doing. Fox, what have you been up to, my friend?
Oh man, I watched a movie today, actually, or part of it today, part of it late yesterday, whatever, called "They Cloned Tyrone."
Oh, I heard about this. Yeah.
They cloned Tyrone. It's a Netflix movie.
I
I
watched
heard
it
I
when-
heard it was very good, and I heard it was not really what you'd expect. Or the it was so good. Like it was
Yes,
super funny. But
Jamie
also
Foxx
like
in the movie is insanely funny.
yeah, like really like it's a really good like this is a funny concept, this is a funny joke, like the whole idea, but then also is very good at like and also it's got something to say, like it's actually it's not just look at this funny joke. It's I don't want to spoil anything at all.
Right.
Go
Thank you.
watch it, go in as clean as possible. But yeah, it's really great. John Boyega was excellent as the main. Yeah, it might be like he's really great in a lot of stuff, but man, he was excellent, and it was so good. It was such a
All
good
right, I gotta
movie.
watch it. I've been wanting to
Yeah.
watch it. So
Can't recommend it high enough. That's so good.
I just finished a book called The Olympian Fair. It is the second book in the Cinder Spires, written by Jim Butcher. Jim Butcher's my favorite author. He does the Dresden Files. They're incredible. This one is very, very good. Brought me to tears a couple of times. Just A plus book. If you don't know the series, it's a steampunk, Victorian era on an Earth. To call it post-apocalyptic wouldn't be right. The surface of the Earth is uninhabitable just because of it's dangerous. The animals there are higher predators than humans, and that's it. Like, and it's not that it's post-apocalypse. It's just that humans can't survive on the surface, and so for as long as history has written, people have lived in these spires, 2 mile tall, 2 mile wide towers that are made of basically indestructible, what's called spire stone, and that's where humans live. And they all have airships that they fly through the air to come back to one another. And the whole thing is about one tower declaring war on another tower. And the whole thing is great. There's a lot of really, really good, like, Victorian era manners, but also piracy, but also like, man, it's so much fun.
Wow.
It's so great. And this one just continues following that in such a great way. What I will say is that Jim Butcher for a long time has had a habit of very much, because he writes noir books with the Dresden Files, he very much followed the noir trope of objectifying women in a lot of the ways he describes them. I was really, really happy to see that he didn't do that in the first Cinder Spires book. In the Aeronaut's Windlass, none of that was in there. It was outstanding. And he definitely returns to that a little bit in The Olympian Affair. And I was like, no, Jim, you were doing so good. I was so proud of you. Come on, man.
Chosen one.
Yeah, you were the chosen one. But, I mean, again, that's one of those side things that made me go, oh, man. Overall, the book is spectacular. It's so, so good. Cannot recommend the Cinder Spires enough.
It's fantastic. I am rereading the Sinestro Corps War comic book series. Haven't read it in about a decade now. I have the entire Jeff Johns run of Green Lantern from Rebirth to the end, which is where he did something that no comic book does and actually gave you a proper ending to a story. And we're done with that character and he's gone. And then they got all retconned when the new writer took over, but gave me an excuse to be like, hey, I can stop collecting it here.
There you go.
So I'm starting there and I'm going to go all the way through the end, but it is such just a beautiful era of Green Lantern, with the rise of the emotional spectrum. Again, on the video, you can see all the different lanterns.
Yeah, that artwork in there just gets so colorful and so vibrant. It's so good.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's one of the things that makes comics such a beautiful art form is being able to tell the story through the individual frames is so great. And just, the vibrancy of each frame, of each color, and trying to put, the red glow of anger and that yellow glow of fear and things like it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful stuff.
Box?
I also watched, speaking of manga or speaking of anime, Blue Eye Samurai.
I've heard
Heard of Blue Eye Samurai?
Is it good?
It was very good.
Yes.
It's essentially a story of revenge. This blue-eyed samurai who, it's set Edo era Japan. The child of a Japanese person and a white person, and so they are, mixed race and considered lower than because of it and treated like an outcast. And essentially it's about this person trying to get revenge against whoever the white people in Japan, the few that exist after all the rest. Yeah, no, I get it. No. After the rest of them, white people have basically been expelled from Japan. And but the time this person was born, there were 4 white people left. And so they don't know who their father is or who, so they're going to get revenge on all of them. Try to find them. It's extremely good. It's 8 episodes, I think. It's very good. It just thrives in what anything should thrive is characterization. The plot kind of takes a back seat in my mind because I just like these characters. The plot was also great, but it's like what I care about here is these people and like what's happening to them and their stories. I will say this big content warning. It is don't underestimate it for it being animated.
That was
It
the
is
first thing I was told about it.
the most mature anime as far as the actual like what you would find on a like rating description, you know, that I have ever seen. This is berserk level of visual content. So
Got
anyway,
it.
parents, give it a perusal before your kids watch it.
Maybe
I'll just
just
say it
don't.
for you.
Maybe just
No,
say no
no,
with
Maybe
kids
say
there.
don't. I'm just saying, parents, that's up to you.
Parents,
You,
I don't think
you
you
should
should
be
watch it
warned.
until you're at least 30. That's what I'm
30
saying.
years old. There you go. I'm
That being
41.
said, it was very
barely
good.
making
The
it.
artwork was great. The animation was awesome. Like
Mhm.
it's just so very good. And all the voice actors are great. I will say one of them was what's his name? He's Jimmy in the MCU's or Agent Wu in MCU,
Oh,
the
Ray
FBI.
Park?
No, that's no.
No.
Not Ray Park. Whatever. He's also in Fresh
Jim?
Off the Boat. What?
Is the other Jim from The Office? Is
Yes,
that who
Yeah.
yeah, he's Asian Jim from The
Yeah,
Office.
Yeah.
He is the voice of a character, and I could recognize some of the voices. I was like, oh, that's fine. This one took me out every single time because he's such a comedic guy normally, and so it was like super weird to hear his voice from this
Randall
villainous
Park. I'm
Randall
sorry.
Park.
Randall
Yeah, you're
Park.
right. You were
Yes.
very close.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was funny, but still does a good job. It just took me out of the situation sometimes. Very serious situation
Yeah.
because it's Asian Jim. Anyway, that's all. Yeah.
I received a gift for my birthday. It was my birthday back in January called King Domino. King Domino is a board game that here's the basic premise of it. It's dominoes where you got to match the thing to the thing on these two squared rectangles. But instead of being numbers, it's land. So it's either oceans or fields or
I think
plains
you talked
or
about this
forests.
last week.
Did I?
Yeah, I think so. It's fine. Go.
I don't think I did. Anyway,
All right, that's fine.
but you
Y'all
match
having
these.
conversations off the podcast, and now you
Yeah,
don't know.
it's exactly that. Yep, and it's fine. You know what? You get
Our
to hear about it
content is
again.
suffering.
You will listen whether you like it or not. So you match these things, and you have a 5x5 grid to build with, and you multiply however many spaces of the land that are touching each other times the amount of crowns. Some of the squares have crowns on them, some of them don't, some of them have multiple, and you just that's as easy as that. This area has 3 crowns and 5 pieces of land. That's 15 points. The game goes super fast. It is so much fun. My whole family loves this game, from my 9-year-old to me, the 41-year-old. We play this game all the time. I underestimated how enjoyable this game would be. I cannot recommend King Domino enough for all ages. As long as you can do basic math, like multiplication math, from that point forward, well worth it.
Cool.
I have been playing a game called Last Train Out of Wormtown
I already
Okay.
love it.
on Steam. We had an Among Us group for a long time in the Discord, and it's kind of died down, and they've been playing different games every other week now. And we tried this a few weeks ago, and it's a party game, Steam party game, where you're either one of the villagers in this town, or you're a sandworm. And the goal is to throw enough furniture and junk from the town into the furnace of the train, blow up a couple train cars that are in the way, and one other thing I can't remember what to do now. But you got to do 3 things basically to get out of the town. All the while, the sandworm character is trying to hunt you down and grab you and eat you, and it's fun being either character, but it's really fun being the worm. Your vision is very obscured; it's very hard to see, but once you can get it down and make these amazing like jumps and snatching people out of the air and off of rocks, it's a blast. Really fun party game.
Party games are good. Party games
Yep.
are very good. That's you, Fox.
Oh, it's my turn, isn't it? All right, yeah. The last thing I'll talk about is Drifting Dragons. I've been reading the manga. There's also an anime on Netflix. It's a manga called Drifting Dragons. If you've been watching or read Delicious in Dungeon, and you like the food aspect of it, or there's several other manga that have food and golden kamui and stuff. But this is essentially following a draking ship, which is what if instead of 18th century 19th century whalers, they're drakers. They
We're
fly
whalers
through,
on the moon.
they fly through the sky on an airship and hunt dragons. And then it's about them and like surviving as as a crew and all that. But then there's also like recipes on how they cook the dragon and eat it and all that kind of stuff. That's a pretty small part of it. It's definitely not as like it's part of the plot. The whole like making the recipes and stuff is not as forefront as like Delicious and Dungeon. But the manga is very like I have seen clips from the anime, and it's kind of this 3D-esque kind of style, which I feel like is a real letdown, because the art style of the manga is super line heavy and really like lots of great landscapes of the sky and like all these things. It's a really fun action / slice of life. It's very chill, I'll say that. It's not like we got to save the world, or it has drama in it, but it's really fun to read. It's a really fast read also. That's not very text heavy. But I've been reading it through the library, and it's I can basically just cruise through a chapter, through a one of the books, and then return it, get the next one. It's super quick, and I recommend reading it.
Nice. I had a couple of things written down here. I'm gonna go with Percy Jackson and the Olympians on Disney Plus. The season finale aired tonight. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway because I don't want to have to wait 2 weeks until the next podcast to talk about it again.
Sure.
So it's a show based on the book, and there are, in my house, we've all read it. We all love the books. There has been some disagreements on the quality of the show.
Really?
Me and my wife, who love the books, also think the show is really well done. It's really well made. It's always a hit and miss with child actors, which can bring down a show entirely. The kids in this show are great. The acting is top notch. They have done a good job of not the books themselves make the Greek gods seem foolish and unintelligent sometimes. This actually sort of changes that a little bit, just to kind of like gives them different motivations or gives them different stories, a little bit changes here and there, so that when Percy and his team does get away, or when they do let them go or whatever, it's not because they tricked him with something ridiculous. It's more story, natural type feel. Overall, I think it's fantastic. My oldest, who has read and loved the series, is very much in that camp of, yeah, but it's not exactly what the books say.
It's not one for one.
Right. She wants this to be very much what the books are. And so she does. She struggles with it sometimes. She is, wise and mature enough to, when there'll be points when she's like genuinely upset with how's it going, and she'll just get up and she'll go do something else for a while. She'll go listen to music on her phone or read a book or go do something else for a little bit. But, yeah, exactly. And she doesn't want to
remove myself from this situation.
Exactly. She doesn't want to scream at the television. That's not what happened. We all get there sometimes. We do. But here's what I'll say about it. If you need this to be a 1-to-1 retelling of the books, or even like Lord of the Rings level, close to a 1-to-1 retelling of the books, it's not that. If you are comfortable with a very good distillation of what the books have done, that have, I feel, appropriately changed it for television, because you can never perfectly retell a book to television. They're different mediums. I think they have appropriately changed it for a television show. It's really good. It's really well made. The characters are great. The character growth is going really well. I can't recommend it enough. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I've never read the books, but the fact that Adam Copeland is playing Ares makes me want to jump in there.
I saw him. I haven't been into wrestling since middle school, and I saw him like, wait, I know this guy.
Yeah, he was around back then.
Who is this guy? That's the Edge. Holy crap, that's the Edge. Like, it was so like this weird nostalgic throwback
the
for me.
guitarist from U2?
No,
just
Just
Edge.
Edge, not
just
the
Edge.
They're very different. They should swap lives for a little while though.
Yes.
All right, my last thing is for the last half a month, I have been spending every morning watching through all 10 new episodes of Bluey with my daughter.
It's
All right.
so good.
All right.
It's really good. I have not gotten sick of them yet, but it has been at least a dozen times I've gone through them all.
Oh,
They're
all
only
of them are just
long,
on loop.
yeah.
Whoa.
It's only about an hour's worth of Bluey, and we've just gone through every day with breakfast. That's what she wants. She wants to start at Cubby and go through the next 10. They're really good. Man,
My daughter watches Foot of a Ferret, which is a Matt Pat spinoff actually. But Foot of a Ferret has a entire thing on how does Bluey put more heartfelt, genuine writing in 7 minutes than some movies do in 2.5 hours. Like how? And it's really well made video, but Blue is
I think
great.
it's because they're people, man. They
Yeah.
talk about poops and farts and
Yeah.
they laugh at the dumbest things and they joke around with each other and insult each other in the loving way that families really do that no other show does. Like they're the closest to actual people, I think.
100% agreed.
Imperfect parents who screw up all the time as well. Like
Well,
parents that are I love how the dad is always like, I don't want to play this game that you want to play,
yeah.
but I'll do it anyway because I'm your dad. Like that's the kind of stuff that like parents can both also access, and it makes me cry half the time.
100%. There's one recently where like Bluey's just like, Dad, do we make your life harder? It's like, yep, you sure do. And she's like, what is that? Is like, but you also make my life better. You know, and he kind of talks about this, and I was like, oh, it's so well done. So good. So good.
How do we do that? I don't know, but you're really good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Radio Matt, we have appreciated you so much, your input, your insights. Hey, where can we find more of your stuff? Where can people find more of Radio Matt and Love Thy Nerd?
Well, lovethynerd.com is the main place to go. I am the director of content and resources over there. So I head up all the articles. I oversee the podcast network that we talked about earlier. I also run LTN Radio, which is a 24/7 nonstop online Christian rock, rap, pop, and indie radio station that I curate with love and a team of cool music hunters that I have. All of that is available at lovethynerd.com. Also have our YouTube channel too. We make a lot of content. We posted about 500 some odd videos in 2023. None of which are super popular, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of stuff going. My wife and I have just started the Nerd History podcast, where we dive deeply into something in that week in nerd history. We just did one on Facebook, which was a big deep dive. But the week before that, we did Corner Gas, which is a often overlooked sitcom from Canada. We're going to hit all kinds of things in this show. We're having a blast doing it, recording it here in our studio here at my house. So all those kind of things, always doing something, trying to do less, like we talked about before. But yeah, lovethynerd.com is where you're going to find everything that I do that I love.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for being here. Hey, everybody in the listening here, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you. We want to say a huge thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and so do most of my neighbors, off of the album Dear Sam. Thanks, Granger. Your music is good, and we like it.
Yeah, and head over to SavePointMinistries.com and check out what SavePoint is doing. We exist here to connect online communities to in-person real-life communities. We don't think it's bad to be online or have friends online, but we do think it is great to have friends and communities in person and actually necessary for life. So if that's something that you find is missing in your life, or just want to find a new group of people to go play Magic with, whatever it might be, hit up Save Point Ministries and send them a message. And that's what we exist to do.
One more time, thank you so much for being here, and always remember that saved games save lives.
Bye.
Wait, I found it. There it is. Okay, good. So, okay, this layout with 3 of the heads here is something that is new. We did it once with Legend of Zyro a long time ago, but like, all that to say, I don't have a button for it on my Steam Deck, and so or Stream Deck. Sorry, I always get those mixed up. So I'm sorry, chat. Anyway, hey,
Do you not have the one with multiple buttons? Like I have the big one. Do you have the big one?
I don't have the big one. I have the 15 button one, not the ginormous guy.
Yeah, I get the 24 button one. Now.
Yeah, I need this one. I don't need it's fine. I just need to deal with it. Okay, hey, for those of you who stuck around, we're going to go ahead and run back through the chat here, talk about things that we're going through, or things that you guys have done in here. Sorry. Bubba apparently was not happy with the survey outcomes for the anime thing. He said, did they take this survey at a Kmart?
What? What does that mean?
I don't even know.
At a Kmart?
There is another one here that is 44% crushes. We got some liars on the survey. Yep.
For real there.
Man, we had somebody drop. This was my favorite thing. We have L Britton 007. L comes in. He says, "Hi, is this a ministry channel?" And I just, I'm trying to just dive into the chat occasionally. Yes, it is. Awesome. Would anybody able to help me with seminary homework? Sorry, L Britton, that we couldn't help you out
Kind
here.
of.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we could. Not at the time. I don't know about Fox and I have degrees from a Christian college. I don't know about you, Matt, but no.
I dropped out.
You still might be able to help.
G Creature just wanted to say hi. What's up, G Creature? G Creature is a fan of ours that from our
Long time.
Yeah, from our YouTube days, our Dozen Fox days. Yeah.
Awesome. Those are the best kind of people.
Yeah, dude. We love G Creature.
I like him. I like them as a friend.
Mo's GIF in here saying Brendan Lee Mulligan just had a child. I wonder how that's going to impact all of his project. He's doing a lot of content right now.
For real.
Yeah.
I do know.
That's what he's wanted most of his whole life.
Yes, I was going to say that. There was an episode of what was it called?
Game Changer.
Game Changer. Where that was revealed. That was his in life. That's what he most wanted was to be a father. So
Really?
I hope it
for
means he's like gonna step back from a bunch of stuff.
He should. He should take
cool.
a break.
That's cool. Mosdiff also says, hard to draw the line sometimes when you sit in the same chair desk to work and play.
Yes.
Bro.
That is 1,000% for me. I'm also a social media manager. Like my in-store work is about 8 hours a week total. The other, I now currently working about 50 hours a week. The other 42 hours of work is in this exact chair that I'm sitting in right now. And it's also where my game systems are and my computer and things like that.
I work about 50 hours a week as well. I have a second job, and that is a media director for my church. So I'm also doing that in this chair.
Yep.
Or the chair at the church. But either way, it's in front of a computer.
Bubba says, we try not to let people sacrifice themselves on the altar of ministry.
That's the line. I was trying to remember it, Bubba. I really was.
That is something that I wish more churches did. I have recommended that, like, I know churches that have done every 3 years, there's a mandatory 6-month sabbatical. And that ends up being 1 out of 7 years. So it's the 1 out of 7, like, God did.
Sure.
And it comes like this really, really rejuvenating, refreshing. And the churches that I know did this, they paid their pastors during this time and whatnot. And those churches, the church that did this one specifically, had also had these same employees for like 2 decades, and so you get the longevity, you avoid the burnout. I wish more churches had the exact same thing. Don't sacrifice yourself on the altar of ministry, man. Bubba also said that the last trim out of Wormtown sounds like a high school garage band name.
It does.
Agreed.
My ska band.
Yeah. All right. Hey, that's everything. We have come all the way to the end of our chat here. So I'm just going to say Those of you in the chat, thanks for being here. One more time, this is all part of the greater ministry at Save Point. Fox already talked about that. If you're looking for a church, you can head to some of the links I put in chat here, or one of the easiest ways to do it is just to jump into our Discord and chat right here. In our Discord, there's a channel called Find a Church. You put in your city and states. As soon as we see it, we delete it so you're not doxxed. And then we just start looking for churches in your area that are what we call nerd-friendly churches. Places where when you walk in and you say you play Magic, instead of somebody condemning you, they pull out their commander deck. So if that's something you're looking for, what's that?
That's a fantastic resource, though. That's amazing.
It's great, and we love it, and it's a lot of fun. If that's something that you guys are looking for, you can jump into our Discord or follow that Find a Church link in there. Thank you so much. We love that each and every one of you are here today, but always remember there's a church out there that would love it if you were there. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.